Hi, this is Master Ingvar Jóhannesson from Iceland, or Sibit, and today I'm bringing you a tactics video. We're going to look at tactics on chess.com's tactics trainer, tactics that are rated between 1000 and 1200. So yeah, that rating range will mostly be players that are, fairly new to the game. Haven't been playing for a long time. So let's try and figure out what kind of problems these players are facing. So here's the first one. It's an ending with white. Okay, both sides have a rook, but we have 4 pawns against 5. We're down a pawn, and what we should look at is, well, first let's look at some pieces that are unprotected. This rook is unprotected, but okay, it's going to be hard to win it by tactical means. We could take this rook and attack it, but that's not helping much. Black will simply take the rook and advance his passed pawn, perhaps. Can we attack something? Yes. We're currently attacking this pawn. So if we take it, at least we even out the material. So in a real game, that will be an option. We should also look at the king position. Currently black's king doesn't have a lot of squares, so we could consider trying to build a mating net. So maybe bring our king to g3 and look up below. From that position, the king doesn't have any squares. The rook is covering this, the pawn covers these 2 squares. So once we bring the king here to g3, we're covering this square here f4 and this square h4. So we're threatening simply to push our pawn here to h4 and keep checkmate. And this black can't do anything about, so the key move here is king to g3. Problem solved. Next we're going to play h4 and it's going to be mate. Nothing to do. If we move this pawn, h5, we go to the analysis board real quick. Now let's hope this is working. So if we move this pawn, still this is covered, it doesn't help. And the rook can't really do anything, so, doesn't matter. We go to the next problem. I was hoping you get more pieces on the board. But here again, we're down a pawn. Both sides have a queen or rook, our king is safe. But immediately we can spot that the black king is not safe. Okay, we notice that. That's most likely the main feature. Are there some unprotected pieces? No. Can we bring... okay. What we should do, once we spot an attack on the king and in any position, is look at the most forcing moves. And the most forcing moves are checks, captures and threats. So in this position, what are our options for checks or captures? We could take with the queen on d5, but okay, we can disregard that. Pawn takes queen, and nothing happens. We can check with a rook on e8, and we can check with the queen on g6 and h7. On h7 we just lose the queen, so we should look at rook e8 and queen g6. Looking at queen g6, the king only has 2 squares to move. We can also interpose the rook. But once you analyze this, you will quickly find out that it doesn't matter where the king goes. We'll play rook e8 next move, and it's checkmate. So all we did was look at the forcing moves and try and calculate them. I didn't say rook e8, but I did the calculations in my head. So here bishop takes g7 was just played. So at the moment everything is equal. But white's idea was bishop takes d7. He just opened up a discovered attack on this bishop on a2. You can see the white rook wants to take this bishop here. So if our king takes the bishop, he's going to take on a2. So what can we do about that? If anything. Can we move the rook? No, he just takes on a2, and we have nothing better but to take on g7. So can we maybe take the rook? Maybe. We're attacking the rook with a knight. So, you know, this is a complicated position. We have to look at all the possible, you know, options. So we can capture a pawn here on a3, we can capture a rook on d2, and we can capture this bishop. So what we would need to do is, well, the best thing for you, of course, is to pause the video and find out for yourself. But having come back, what you should have done is look at all the forcing moves. King takes g7, that's a forcing move. We're capturing a piece. Okay, we quickly find out he will take our bishop. And the position is equal. Okay, we can take a pawn on e3, we'll be up a pawn. But what happens if, okay, same if we take on a3, he will take our bishop, so we have more or less eliminated these moves. King takes g7 is our main move at the moment, but what about knight takes d2? We capture a rook, which is 5 points. For a knight that is 3 points. We're simply winning 2 points, but okay, he captures our rook. We can capture it back. He will capture our bishop here, sorry, our knight, which is on d2, and everything's equal. But wait a minute, we can capture on f3, and that's going to be a check. So that's an in-between move, a Zwischenzug. So after he takes back on f3, we take on f8. And if you have counted correctly, you will find out that we are up a piece after all this. So that's exactly check. He takes, and we take on f8 next move, and we win a piece. Fair enough. On to the next one. And here we have equal pawns. Both sides have 8 pawns. 2 rooks and a queen. So, are there any undefended pieces? Yes. The knight on a5 is undefended. The queen is undefended, but we can't really do much about that. We can attack it with our knight, but every square that we attack the queen is protected, so that's not usual. Can we attack the king? That's really hard to do. We have to, well, make some illegal moves with the queen, but even if we do that, it's not clear how it's helping us. So is there anything in this position? Well, what about the piece that was unprotected? It's very much a key for you to look for unprotected pieces, and this knight on a5, can we just attack it? Okay, if we attack with the queen, then okay, he doesn't have any squares, but he can protect the knight with, say, pawn to b6. But okay, we just found out, wait a minute, the knight that's unprotected doesn't have any square. But what if we attack it with a piece of lesser value, pawn to b4? No square for the knight, we're gonna win it. We simply take the knight, we won material. Okay, queen just played itself to h6. Seems like we are in the middle of an attack on the king, where we have sacrificed a bishop. If we count the pieces, we have one less bishop. The pawns are equal. So, having attacked, can we exchange queens? No. So black just played queen h6, and he's trying to force us to exchange queens, and if we do that, queen takes queen, pawn takes queen. This pawn is protected now on h6, this diagonal is, this file is closed, so our attack is running out of fuel. So how can we add more pressure on this king? We should look at the forcing moves, and we can quickly disregard any unprotected piece. Okay, this bishop on b7 is unprotected, but that's highly unlikely to be a factor. So the forcing moves are queen takes h6, but also moving the queen anywhere is a forcing move, because moving the queen, we attack the black queen with a rook, because we just moved the white queen out of the way. It's queen here on h5. So can we do that in a beneficial way? Yes. We can take the pawn here on f7. That opens an attack on the queen. And we also threaten to simply give checkmate on g8. And that's the big idea, which black can't do anything about. So he's going to be forced to take on h7. But as we'll find out, I think the variation is going to go. Okay, I thought it would take here with the queen. It doesn't matter. We take the queen. We would have taken it on h7 as well, and the move is the same. We're going to play rook e5 next. Okay, king takes. Let's go to analysis. Should have made the problem go a bit further. So king takes, and now we play rook e5. And the rook is coming here to give checkmate. Okay, he can maybe play g6 now, so I was better if I had it myself. It's better to put it on e3. If the king was on h7, that's what I was thinking earlier, if he had taken here with the queen. Takes. Now rook e5 is mating because this pawn is pinned. We can't move it, the king is attacked, so rook h5 is going to be mate next. But with the king on h6, we have to play like rook e3 and then keep check here, and we're going to mate also, but it takes slightly more time. Okay, we had an equal position where black was developing in almost a hippopotamus style, a hippo. That's actually an opening, which is called the hippo. Usually the knights are on e7 and d7 in that case. But okay, white just captured the pawn well into our camp. We can quickly disregard any attack on the king. There's, no pieces around it. But are there any unprotected pieces? Rook on a1. We can't reach that. We can eliminate that possibility. But the bishop on c7, can we attack it? Yes. We can play rook c8, but okay, then it retreats. Okay, but can we prevent it from retreating? Yes, we can. Pawn to d6, this pawn is protected. And after it moves, we are attacking the bishop on c7, which doesn't have any squares, so we're just going to win it. And he takes, we take back. And of course, we should have made sure that there was nothing here for white, like, pawn to e5 or something, but of course there isn't, so we did good. We did good. So here we have another position with equal material. So are there any unprotected pieces? Yes. Rook on a1. Can we do something about it? Highly unlikely. Maybe you can play queen b6 and try and protect on b2, but that's a bit time consuming, and white can just protect the pawn. But what about forcing moves? Forcing moves checks, queen a5 check, he interposes something, c3 or knight, most likely the knight, well no, the pawn, or knight here. Bishop check, more of the same, pawn is going to interpose. So what more forcing moves do we have? Knight takes h4, possible, but we have a better move. What about bishop takes f4? Okay, it just takes back. But do we have anything there? Yes, we have knight e3, attacking the queen, attacking the bishop. Turns out he can't protect both. And what's more, if he takes on f4, we're going to take on g2 with check, picking up the rook on f4. So completely winning. Okay, so white just moved the knight here, and he prevented us from giving mate on h2, which we were threatening with the queen and the knight. Material is roughly equal. We're down a pawn for the moment. Well, 2 pawns. Well, we can take one back, but that's not very beneficial since our queen is attacked. So, our queen is attacked. We can either move the queen away, kill the attacker, or give a check. So let's say we give a check, knight f2, king g1. Our queen is still attacked, and it's hard to increase the pressure. Okay, we can maybe sacrifice on f3, but he just takes back, and then what? Okay, we can take on d1, but we didn't really gain any material. We just got rid of all the pieces, and then we're down some pawns. Not beneficial. But wait a minute, we were threatening mate, and this is the only piece that is defending mate. So this is a overworked piece. Can we just chop it off? Yes, we can. And if it takes, we give mate. Okay, moving along. And once again, I mean, in chess, you have to do the work yourself. So do yourself a favor and pause the video before any problem. Any and every problem. And try and figure it out yourself. Then come back, press the play button, and see how you did. You know, it's the best practice. Best by test, as they say about opening moves and such. So okay, in this one, we are down a pawn temporarily. Where's our pawn? Materials equal. Attack on the king? Hardly. Unprotected pieces? Actually no, not at the moment. Every white piece is protected. But we can make an unprotected piece with bishop takes b2. After bishop takes b2, rook takes b2, this rook on b2 is going to be undefended. So do we have any way of exploiting that? It's quite possible. Rook takes c4, is that something we could consider? Queen takes c4. Again, now I'm just looking at forcing moves. No, the problem is he's going to take on c4 with the queen. Okay. So it's hard to find anything, but can we attack something? So the forcing moves are bishop takes b2, rook takes c4. So checks, captures, or threats. What are threats? Threats are usually a piece of lesser value attacking a piece of higher value. So what are our options in that department? It's bishop g4, attacking the queen, or perhaps rook d2. Bishop g4 is unprotected piece. He's going to take back. Okay, we take on e3, but we just lost a piece. Okay, we don't have to lose a piece. We can take on b2 and take on c4, but then we didn't win any material, which is our goal. We might win a pawn, but most likely there's more. So what happens after rook d2? Where can the queen go? Well, not here. Pawn captures, not here. Bishop captures, and pawn captures. So only one square, queen e1. So are there more forcing moves after that? Yes, we can maybe move the rook and attack the queen with the bishop. But where to do it? If rook takes c2, he's going to capture our bishop. So can we do it more forcefully? Yes, we can. Rook takes g2 with Czechoslovakia. And if the king takes, we capture the queen, don't we? Rook d2, and then we capture the queen. We also got a pawn to add to our tally, our total, and we're winning material. On we go. Queen takes g6. Okay. Material is equal. The pawns are equal. So, let's look at the situation. Attack on the king. Hardly. Okay. Mate on g7, but the queen is in the way. Unprotected pieces. Yes, both of the bishops. Any more? Actually, yes, but we'll come to that. So, let's look at the forcing moves. We can take this pawn. Is that beneficial? Hardly. He'll take back, and nothing much has changed. Knight f6 check. Checks are forcing moves. Is that beneficial? No, he simply takes the knight, nothing happened. Bishop takes h6. That's a forcing move. Beneficial? No, he can just take it. He can even take on g4 and then take the bishop on h6. Queen takes g6. That's a forcing move. It's a capture. Can you capture back? Ooh, no it can't. The bishop on a2 is pinning the pawn, so we're simply going to win the queen, free of charge, and mate on g7 next move. Game chat match. Boom. So more. We want more. Okay. This is most likely from the Budapest defense, where well, white plays d4, black goes knight f6, and after c4, pawn to e5. But that's a different story. You can look that up. Here, materials equal. Let's first look at unprotected pieces. Well, both the white rooks. This one we can hardly take advantage of, but this one on a1, maybe. We have a queen here on this diagonal. And if we directly after that look at a forcing move, okay, we can eliminate any bishop takes e3, queen takes f3, these moves lose material. But what about knight takes f3, check? Check, and the capture, quite a forcing move. And what's more, we open this diagonal here to the queen, for the queen to attack the rook on a1. So this is a simple tactic. We attack the king, he has to take back with the pawn, and now queen takes a1. Problem solved. On we go. We're on a roll. Can you feel the improvement? Can you feel it? So we're down a pawn. Opposite colored bishops. So can we attack the king? Most likely not. Unprotected pieces, yes. Rook on d1. Hard to imagine. We can attack it, but nothing much will happen. Our rook is also attacked. He can even take it with a bishop and protect this rook. Okay. In that position we can, in that position we can do check on h1 and maybe on h3, but it's only perpetual. So, unprotected pieces, yes. Also the queen on d4, but unfortunately our bishop on g7 is pinned. And we just mentioned that our rook on a6 is attacked. So how about removing the piece that is pinning our bishop? Rook takes g6. What happens after this move? The queen's attacked. Okay, the queen can kill a check, but only on this diagonal. And then we will move this rook, which is now on g6, to e6, interposing the check. And we have one material. Problem solved. On to the next one. Hang on a minute, we're up a pawn. And we don't need to spend much time on this one. We look at checks and captures. They are only pawn takes h5 and pawn takes f5. And obviously we're going to take a piece of higher value here. And okay, for me it's quick to calculate that black will not be able to make a pass pawn or a dangerous pawn, and if you spend some time on that, you should realize that as well, that these pawns are not dangerous. You have an extra piece, no problem to stop these pawns. Okay, here we are in the middle of an attack where we have given up a piece, and for it we have one pawn, and now we have to look at some forcing moves. We sacrifice material, so captures, yes, pawn takes f7, but that gives black time to regroup his defenses, perhaps. So do we have anything more forcing? Give up the rook on c8, makes no sense. You can capture it with a knight or rook or king. What's more? Queen check. That's a forcing move, a check. Where can the king go? Not on the c file. He can go to b7 or a7. But either of those moves, we play queen c7, check, and checkmate. Czechoslovakia, and then mate. With the following word for mate. Czechoslovakia and Mitrovic. Can't find it. Gonna find one for the next video. Okay, and here we are down 2 pawns. 2 pawns! But we have 2 bishops for a rook. So materially speaking, we are down a pawn. Loose pieces. Well, both the rooks. When I talk about pieces, usually we're not talking about pawns, but we're also attacking some pawns. But also the king is quite exposed. So let's start. Forcing moves. Bishop takes f7. Yes, forcing move. But maybe it just takes back and nothing happened. We just lost a bishop for nothing. But what about some checks? Rook g5 check. The king has only 1 square. King h8. Bishop g7 check. The king has to come out of the corner to g8. Then we can move this bishop. And we're gonna open a discovery from our rook to the king. So where does the bishop go? Maybe all the way back to d4. It's gonna be check. And we're attacking the rook here on a7. So let's do that. Check. Another check. The third Czechoslovakia. And finally, do we want to give one more check? No, because then rook e7, and he protects the rook on a7. So we want to take this rook for free, and we do it. So, are you seeing the pattern here? Loose pieces, forcing moves. So, this one is, well, equal material once again. This is a position that most likely arose on the board from a Caro-Kann. And what are our options? Well, there are no real hanging pieces, loose pieces. All the rooks, as always, are undefended, but hard to take advantage of that. So what are our forcing moves? Our knight is attacked, so if we can't find any forcing moves, we just have to retreat it. So in a tournament game, your opponent played h6. The first move that should come to mind is knight to e4, simply retreating the knight. So okay, I'm gonna play knight e4 if I don't find anything else. But you should spend a little bit of time here looking at the forcing moves. So captures, yes, bishop takes d5. But does not do anything. He recaptures. Our knight is still attacked. We still have to retreat it. We just lost the e4 square, which is now protected by the queen, which recaptured on d5. So we have to go to h3, and then we have to accept double pawns after bishop takes h3. So this capture is not good, so we're taken to knight e4 unless we can find something powerful. Knight e6, attacking a piece of higher value? No, just takes it, bishop takes e6. Knight to h7. Well, what does that do? It does nothing, and it just takes it. So finally, what about the sacrifice? Knight takes f7. We're attacking queen and rook, so he has to take it. Do we have any forcing moves there? Bishop takes d5. No, we're kind of losing an attacking piece, and the queen takes back. What about instead knight e5 check? Yes, now we're getting somewhere. The king has a couple of squares. King e8, then we can put the queen on this square. Remember to move the knight away to e5, so queen goes here. Giving a check to the king on e8. And there are no pieces left to interpose. Remember, we took this pawn, it's gone. And once this pawn interposes, we just take it and it's going to be mate. So after knight e5 check, remember this knight is here now. The king can also go to e6 or f6. But on both these squares we're going to give checks. On e6 we can give check on g4. Followed by knight f7 check. And, well, yeah. I have calculated the remaining moves. You should have done the same. Knight e5 check. And problem solved. So a quick look at if the king... well, just all the king moves, I guess. So knight takes, king takes, knight e5 check. So let's say king here. Seems to me we have... Well, hang on a minute. Becoming stronger. Maybe this is even stronger. Yeah, that might well be, because we're running mate here on f7 and g6. So probably this is the strongest move. Another option was queen f3 check, but then maybe bishop f5. But here it's hard to find the defense. Let's say something like this. It's going to be mate. Something like this. It's still mate. And if you block that, then we just hit you with the right hook. So no defense. And if king e6, then we can play this move. And here we have check, forking the queen and the king. So after king c7, our queen is also attacked, so we must do something about that. And we just go queen g3. And turns out that the queen can't interpose here because of the knight, which will capture the queen. So after the king moves, or something interposes, it doesn't matter, we take the queen here. Of course, we don't go to b6, we go here, but still, it's losing. So let's take a few more problems. So this one, he just played g6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pawns for us against 6 for him. Otherwise, materials equal. So hanging pieces. No, actually, all the black pieces are covering each other. So we're not going to win any material here. But what are some of the other features? Wait a minute, this king here, it's kind of stuck. So can we box it in? Yes. So actually this move isn't... okay, is it check? No. Is it capture? No. Is it threat? Yes, actually. Because after knight f7, we're threatening rook g5 checkmate. And the knight is calling h6, so the king can't run. So we're simply going to give mate here. So check, captures, or threats. And threats are more often than not to a piece of higher value or to the king. And here in this final problem, this is a classical mate in 2. And just a forcing move. Forcing moves are mostly checks here. So queen h5 check, rook e7 check, queen e7 check. So queen e7 check is going to move the king again. But the thing is, when you have two heavy pieces, you want to bring them together. And if you have calculated all the moves, you will find out that bringing the rook here close to the king, you will help the queen to deliver checkmate here on g7 on the next move. So it's the forcing moves. Let's say one last one. This one was something slightly more fun. Okay, this is a good problem to end with. So again, we have equal material. Both sides have traded off a pawn and a knight. So any loose pieces? Yes. Bishop on f4. Okay, hard to attack it. So what are the forcing moves here? So in a tournament game, I mean, this pawn on b7 is attacked, you could consider taking on a4 and then just, making any move, improving the knight, knight g6 or something. But okay, before you did that, you should look at the forcing moves. Okay, bishop takes a4, he takes back. Nothing much has happened. Can we attack a piece of higher value? We can play g5 attacking the bishop, but bishop just moves back. Nothing much happened. You can even move to the bishop to d2 if he's afraid. So what else? b5? Attacking this bishop? Well, the bishop can't move anywhere. Hang on a minute. A pawn just attacked the bishop that can't move. But he can take on b5. Okay, now we need to count the defenders. We have a pawn, a knight, and a bishop. That's 3. Against only queen and the bishop, that's 2. 3 beats 2, like Rook beats what? What does rook beat? Scissors. Yeah. b5. Cracking the scissors. He takes. We take back. Bishop has no square. We want a piece of higher value. We're going to win material. We take this bishop next move. We can't do anything. So he resigned. Okay, these were tactics for 1000 to 1200 rated problems on the tactics trainer. And well, I hope this was helpful to you. And think about these principles when you're both playing and trying to solve tactics. Forcing moves, checks, captures, and threats. Good luck.